Hey there, I hope you're doing well. My name is Arya and today we're going to look at some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy Reddit stories, consider liking, subscribing, and maybe hitting that notification bell too. Let's get started with today's first story. Much love, everyone. Today's first story comes from my husband cheating with my son's girlfriend, caught on camera. Entitled parents who abused, neglected, and allowed their affair partners to saw me now tried to kill me, so I finally cut ties with them, and now they are trying to guilt-trip me to come back and be a family again. I'm the youngest of 3 sisters. My sisters are 10 and 11 years older than me. I'm 34 and happily married ever since I was a kid in upper KG. My mother never bothered about my well-being. My father was posted outside and she never woke up to make us breakfast or tiffin. And my sister would leave hungry and I would roam around the army, Cantam, and hungry and wild. I was taken advantage of and saw multiple times due to that, and other children would treat me like a pariah, and I am sure my elder sisters went through the same. When my dad would be back, he would beat the SHT out of my mom and my sisters, who must have been in 8th and 9th grade at that time. My mom couldn't even go back home because she ran away with my father from her hometown and was ashamed to seek help. I guess depression played on her a lot. My mom is very manipulative and made my middle sister fall into a well of schizophrenia and depression, because mom would think of my sister as a rival and would always instigate my father against her. So she got the worst of beatings. Even when I was so little. I would try to crawl out from under the dining table to try and stop, and my father would come to face and threaten me saying, "Do you want to be next?" My eldest sister also faced a lot of beatings from my father, but she stayed strong, always, and I stayed silent while I got sawed by soldiers who lived in the army cantonment. My eldest sister finally married and shifted to the mountains 17 years earlier and has since come down annually for a couple of weeks, during which my father ends up hitting her, at least once since the last 2 visits I have ensured. I come over and stay at my parents' place because I was the one who finally slowed down his physical abuse. As I would stand in front of my mother or sisters and take the punches, he got so mad that he couldn't make me submit that he would bring a knife and try to stab me. My elder sister thinks it's untreated PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, as my father survived the 1971 Indo-Pak with multiple bullets shot on his body and saw many of his friends die in front of him, and maybe so as his face changes when he starts to hit. As if he doesn't recognize us anymore. His father was a war veteran too, who too beat up his wife and kids. So I would think he would be more careful to not let the same trauma be passed on to his family. Since I turned 14 20 years ago, I have been weighed with the burden of being the one who takes care of the family, gets the ration home and has things done, and it has continued on to the point that my mother continues to manipulate. Stopped taking her medicines properly and cause me stressed. She damaged her eyesight due to incorrect taking of medicines, so it became my task to come every week and fill her medicine box. Even when her eyesight got better, she would scream saying she couldn't see, and my husband and I would leave work and rush her to the doctor, who told us that her eyesight was completely fine. Now my mom uses illness to seek attention, especially from my father, whom she feels only treats her well when she's unwell. My father is a stubborn person and has had a few heart attacks in a couple of weeks because he didn't listen to us when we asked him to take rest and stay home. He would keep stepping out. So finally, we had to rush him to the hospital where I was with him for 2 weeks, struggling with a new job I had just taken. I had to leave the old one because I couldn't take the stress of that work, plus my parents and middle sister constantly calling me for getting chores done or being ill or needed something or the other. After 2 weeks, we got him home and then scheduled his triple bypass surgery at an emergency hospital. My elder sister had come down every time there was a major emergency of our mom and dad, and she was here this time as well. We alternated being at the ICU and we got him back after 2 weeks post-surgery. My sister had to fly back as my niece had her examinations. So I went into a routine of visiting parents in the morning, ensuring dad had his medicines and breakfast, leaving for the office, coming back in the evening to ensure dad had his dinner and medicines, and the attendant was ensuring everything was taken care of, plus checking on my mother's medications too. My middle sister had refused to help in the volunteering for shifts at the hospital, and both my mom and sister wake up only by 9 o'clock a.m. and 12 o'clock p.m. respectively. So hence I had to go twice a day to check on Dad, and there was no place for me to sleep at home. My middle sister didn't like anyone sharing her room with her. Coming to the end of the story, I had visited my dad in the morning and he was looking fine, so I decided to head directly home after work for a change at 7 o'clock p.m. I got a call from my sister screaming that my dad was beating up Mom. My heart sank immediately and I ran home. My dad had gone down for a walk and I asked my mom what happened. Apparently Dad's old friend and her husband had come home and Mom doesn't like that lady, as she suspected something had occurred between her and my dad. So Mom didn't even talk to her and serve her water. Mom had asked her not to visit our home and even told Dad to not invite her. So that's why Mom was upset. My mom and sister also argue a lot unnecessarily, by the way, which also instigates my dad's temper, and I had asked my mom and sister to be civil and behave normally at least till the time Dad recovered completely, but they didn't change their habits. Even showing hostility to other people is what I had requested Mom to stop doing as well. When they left, Dad got super mad and started shouting at Mom. Mom was just sitting on the couch and Dad suddenly started punching her in the face and head. My dad only hits us in the spots where he knows it will hurt the most, like cheekbones, around the eyes, stomach and choking, while pressing your tonsils, etc. My sister tried stopping him and he hit her too. If you're excited about this story, let us know. If you enjoyed the video, press A. If not, press B. Your feedback really inspires me to gather more uplifting and meaningful stories. When I got home, Mom told me all of this, and the first thing I told her was that, Mom, I had asked you and Diddy to behave like normal people or fake it for a few weeks, because I was the one who was always put to stress. Resolving everything in the end anyway, my dad came home and he looked at me and said, "What lies has the woman told you?" Rolling back, my father had hit his 80-year-old elder sister just before the surgery. Why? And then denied even touching her. So he was again attempting to say that he never hit her. I looked at him and said, "Dad, I don't know if Mom told me lies or not, but the thing is that you can't hit my mother and I request you to stop doing that." He looked at me with the utmost hate and said, "Oh, it's like that. Is it? Get out and never step foot in this house again. You are dead to me." I said that I won't step a foot as long as he promises me that he won't hit my mother or sister again. The attendant was trying to control him and my father pushed him away, and to hit me, I blocked his hand, so he got so mad that he brought a knife from the kitchen to stab me. The attendant, what a guy, stopped my dad and got sliced on the finger in the process. Thankfully, not too deeply. I told my sister to quickly apply mustard and I left from there. I went on the road, cried horribly into my helmet and suffered from trauma for a while. It's been 2 months and the stress has caused me to menstruate twice a month regularly. I can feel my sugar going high or low regularly. Got tested for high BP. Even during this time, my sister and Mom kept playing mind games with me to guilt me back into coming home till my husband told them both to back off for harassing me constantly. Yesterday was my 80-year-old aunt's birthday, who herself is a very toxic woman who caused her daughter-in-law and one son-in-law to go into no contact and into depression. My mom and sister called and asked me to be there and said, "Why so angry? Such a small thing. Forget it and come over." A light bulb flickered and I was like, "You have given me nothing but grief ever since I was a child." My middle sister has hit me when I was a kid out of frustration and once put a hot iron on my hand. They never celebrated my wins and success. Taunted me when I was down and kicked me out of the house now twice just for speaking up. Both my sisters have also been kicked out of home by my dad when they were younger. Both Mom and Dad had affairs, and I got sawed by my mother's lover too. I got beaten up because Dad gave my only two-wheeler to his girlfriend to use, and when I told him I knew where my scooter was, he beat me up like crap. My family treated me like a servant and handyman ever since I was in 7th grade and expected me to be normal. They boasted about my achievements to everyone, but never celebrated one achievement with me. Even when I won Best Sportswoman in school, it was only my elder sister who came to see me get an award. Linker Record TV shows awards, one TED Talk later. They still didn't see me, so finally, I said goodbye to them as well and have blocked their numbers too. Only my elder sister is who I still consider family, and for the first time in 34 years I feel not guilty and free, so celebrate with me. I am planning to reconnect with friends I stayed away from due to feeling unworthy of being loved, get back to exercise which I loved doing as an athlete, and go back to so many things that make me happy. Wish me luck, edit. All going fine. My family hasn't made any efforts to contact neither my husband nor I ever since I told my sister and mother that I'm done on the 4th of July. I have started working out and went on a 16 kilometers trek this Sunday. I have planned an outing with some old friends. I just reconnected with life's looking good. Thank you for all the support and encouragement. Second story. My husband is cheating with my son's girlfriend. My husband cheated with my son's girlfriend. So I have to tell this story because it's almost too crazy to even believe. My husband, 43, and I have been together for 20 years now, but only married for 6 years. We had hit a terrible time in our relationship 2 months into our marriage when he was arrested for drug use. I was unaware he was using. I had gone to work thinking he had the flu and come to find out it was actually drug withdrawal. He was arrested and sentenced to drug rehabilitation. He relapsed several times during his course of outpatient treatment and was eventually forced to serve a sort of in-house jail rehabilitation. During all of this, my son 25M was dating his 26F girlfriend. They had been together for 7 years. At the time the cheating occurred, my son and the girlfriend were living at my parents' house about a mile away. While she went to college, which my son paid the entire time, my son and her date, I kept thinking at some point she was going to leave him. I just kind of felt like she wasn't all that into him. He was paying for her college because he felt like this was an investment into their future together. She graduated college with her associate's degree, and I felt at any time the bomb was going to drop that she was leaving him. At this point, my husband and I have been going through a rough time. He wasn't finishing up his stuff for the rehabilitation, he wasn't working, and I kind of felt like he was hiding something. My thoughts were he was back to using again, and I was constantly trying to find out by looking through text and emails. One morning I randomly got a call from my son. He says, "Mom, we need to talk," he says. "Grab your keys and meet me outside of your house. Don't wake him." I said okay. At this point I am thinking to myself, oh no, she is pregnant and my son is freaking out. What happened in the next hour would destroy my entire family. I get into the car and my son says, "Where should we go to talk privately?" I said, "Leighton Drive down to the Locks that are about 5 minutes down the road, but a pretty secluded place to have a private chat." My son stops the car and says, "Mom, my girlfriend and my stepdad are cheating with each other." At this point I am hearing him, but I'm not hearing him. I feel like my soul has just left my body and I'm in an alternate universe. My son had found emails from his girlfriend and my husband saying stuff like how funny it would be if they left us for each other, talking about how they would meet up every time my son and I left for work at my house to have nightly activities in my bed, how she had gotten me to braid her hair on multiple occasions just so she could come over to see him. I'm hearing all of this and my daily life was flashing before my eyes, how she would ask to come over to my house to study, because my parents' house was noisy, or how she would ask if I would braid her hair for her to work. The next day, I would think she was trying to bond with me for my son when in actuality she was there to make eyes at my husband and for him to do the same with her right under my nose. Needless to say, I kicked him out that day, and after 2 weeks she moved out of my parents' home and into an apartment with my husband as of now. We are still married and filed for divorce, but our court date has not been set. Yet my 15-year-old daughter is completely crushed her, and my son's now ex-girlfriend never got along. They in fact hated each other and still do. My soon-to-be ex-husband has decided that my daughter is just better off not having him in her life, because he is going back to the drugs as soon as all of his court hearings for drug court are over. Both of my kids went through a terrible depression, and I am still trying to figure out what in the world has just happened to my family. I am so confused on all of this update. We had our pre-trial for the divorce. He has agreed to everything, except that he doesn't want to pay for any of the credit cards he used. Even though I only asked for the one he used on a daily basis to be paid, he admitted to the adultery. He admitted to cutting the furnace wires. He will let me take back my maiden name, so the only thing we have to go to trial for is the one credit card, because they don't want to pay $3,500. I am sticking to my guns on that one. Maybe those two should sell one of the 3 motorcycles they have acquired to pay the bill. As for my son, he seems to be healing well. He is in a new relationship, but since this one has destroyed the family, I'm not getting to close just yet. My daughter has been blocked by her father on everything he claimed in court. It was because he didn't want to speak to me, but I wasn't speaking to him on any of her accounts, so it is what it is. She claims to be fine, but I know it hurts her. I keep reminding her. I will always be here no matter what, and that is really all I can do at this point. I did read all the comments before the moderators removed the post. Some were cruel, but I say that is fair. I was completely blindsided, and no one on here can beat me up any worse than I have myself. I'm not an avid poster on Reddit, so I wasn't aware of all the rules. So that is why the post was removed. 1 more month to go, and I will officially be divorced. People have asked me if I am thinking about getting into any new relationships at this point. I have a lot of healing to do so. We will see where I am later. So far, the ex-husband is living his best life with a 26-year-old in meth. She seems to join her newfound lifestyle of living under the radar, while being a health department worker and an addict. I will post another update if I have any more tea to spill later. Update: divorce court finished yesterday. I was awarded everything I asked for because it was reasonable. I had kind of hoped that after the court was over, I would feel some sort of relief, but all I have right now is grief. I thought the faster this gets done and over with, the better I would feel. I don't feel any better at all. My support system has been great. My parents have taken my daughter for the week while I grieve, so she doesn't have to see it. The daughter is in the anger stage. She is angry at everyone. She is mad at him for all of it and mad at me that I am struggling from it financially. I'm great mentally. I'm not. I feel like I have been the passenger on a ride I didn't want to take, but I couldn't get out of the vehicle and just had to watch as it crashed and burned. Everyone keeps saying it will get better from here, but for some reason afterwards it just felt worse. Someone said I was the winner in all this, but right now I don't feel like a winner at all. Guest time will tell. Thank you to everyone that commented with words of encouragement. I am grateful. I was able to just get all this out of my head and just say whatever I wanted to in the moment. Comment Stardust 14444. You should ask yourself why you're so sad. Your ex-husband's life is a train wreck. His best years are behind him by his choice, and you got those years. His new girlfriend is going to leave him when she realizes she didn't actually win a prize. She won a burden. He's decided to destroy his life, and you got all the good from him. You were ever going to get your daughter some therapy, so she can cope with her anger. You need to go to op. We live in a small town. I saw him drive past me every day on my drive to work headed to her home. She comes to every school function our daughter has, because her little sister was my daughter's best friend before all of this, and her sister is in every school function. My daughter is in even when my daughter picks something at random. Her sister joins, so the ex-girlfriend can show up in my husband's clothes and sit right in front of my daughter to taunt her. I go to the store, and someone stops me to tell me how they just saw my ex-husband and my son's ex-girlfriend together. They proceeded to tell me how disgusting they are. My ex's family thinks she is the greatest thing since sliced bread, because she is taking care of him, and I see them leaving from around her home all the time. They never came to our home, but they make sure they go to hers. My ex-husband father makes posts about the ex-girlfriend on Facebook and doesn't even tell his granddaughter congratulations on her accomplishments. Maybe I could take the approach of out of sight, out of mind, because they are literally everywhere. I try not to leave the house on days off, so I don't have to see it, but the house is a reminder, too, 20 years of living together and her being here for 7 of it. Yes, he was and is a piece of crap, but I have no way to escape it. Hued Encore, Worldliness, Encore, 357. I'm so sorry, have you considered moving? So you and your kids don't have your trauma rubbed in your faces? Constantly op I have, but my parents live a block away and they are getting old. I'm going to need to help them in their old age. My house is paid for and has been paid for years. I'm making good money at my job and packing up and moving for me just wouldn't make sense when I would probably have to be right back here in a couple of years anyway. My mom is showing signs of Alzheimer's. My brother won't be able to help with her either since he will probably die before my parents. He needs the widowmaker surgery at age 40. I feel like the universe is definitely against me when this all happened. I thought, well, at least I have my kids, and then my son went through a time frame of him blaming me for everything, and I thought, well, I have my parents and my brother. Then my mom started showing signs of Alzheimer's and my brother was told his heart is failing. My son and I are getting better now. It's just been one thing after another. I must have done something horrible in a past life to have to make up for it in this life. Third story. Op fired her entitled sister after she told their family secrets to Op's employees, humiliating and jeopardizing her reputation. Now parents are furious at Op. Hi, everyone at 28FM, the founder and CEO of a small tech company that I've poured my heart into over the past 5 years. 6 months ago, my younger sister 24F lost her job due to downsizing. Despite our rocky relationship, we polar opposites, I decided to hire her. I'm introverted and value privacy. She's extroverted and often speaks without thinking. Initially, things went smoothly. She brought enthusiasm to the team and I was hopeful this could strengthen our sisterly bond. However, I began noticing colleagues giving me odd looks and whispering when I wasn't around during a team lunch. One employee casually mentioned a deeply personal family incident, joking about it as if it were common knowledge. I was stunned. I pulled my sister aside and asked if she'd been sharing personal family stories. She admitted she had, saying it helped her connect with others and that it was no big deal. I stressed that our family's history is private and that discussing it at work was unprofessional. She brushed me off, calling me overly sensitive. A couple of weeks later, I discovered she told several employees about our parents' tumultuous divorce and even shared that our mother had struggled with substance abuse. A painful chapter we've worked hard to move past. This wasn't just embarrassing. It felt like a profound betrayal. I confronted her again, but she accused me of trying to control her and said I was letting my CEO status go to my head, realizing that this was jeopardizing not only my reputation but also the company's culture. I made the difficult decision to terminate her employment for breaching confidentiality and unprofessional conduct. She was furious, accusing me of choosing work over family and vowing to never forgive me. Our parents are now involved and believe I overreacted. They think I should have been more understanding and given her another chance. This whole situation has left me questioning myself. I feel guilty for firing her, but also feel that I had to protect my company and personal boundaries, so Rita for firing my sister after she exposed our family's darkest secrets at work. Comments. Cyclone 11. Are you sure your sister lost her previous job to downsizing? Sometimes that is the excuse used to get rid of troublesome employees. Either way, no one can survive the blatant hits to the companies and your reputation and have it end well. Casey Afefo for sure. Lupi Mudio, you didn't choose work over family at all. She chose to divulge personal or private information that could damage your reputation and your company's reputation. You chose to get rid of a problematic employee, period, and you did give her a warning. TAC 995. Exactly this. I got my sister a job at my place of employment. I'm a nurse. I recommended her for a unit secretary job. All her prior experience was working at McDonald's and they hired her. She did the exact same thing and destroyed their reputation. I worked a decade to build. I now haven't spoken to her in a decade and it was the best decision I ever made to cut her off. She was an absolute boundary, stomper. Good job and ta long core charity 396. I've gone out on a limb for people and had them burn me like that. I basically no longer do this unless I very strongly feel someone is a good hire because you're basically attaching your reputation to theirs. Update: a few hours later I reached out to a friend who still works at the company where my sister was previously employed. He confirmed that she was indeed fired, but not just because of the downsizing she mentioned. According to him, she had a knack for orchestrating gossip and creating conflicts among coworkers. She would spread rumors and stir up drama, which led to a toxic work environment and decreased team morale. Her behavior was disruptive enough, but the company decided to let her go to preserve the integrity and productivity of the workplace. Hearing this from someone who was there really reinforces my decision to terminate her employment at my company. It seems her pattern of behavior has consistently caused problems wherever she goes and I had to prioritize the well-being of my team. Thank you all for your continued support and understanding as I navigate this difficult situation. Update: spoke to my parents about her actions. A few hours later. Hi everyone. I wanted to share an update on the situation. With my sister, I recently had a detailed conversation with my parents about the rumors she was spreading at work, especially regarding her substance abuse and our parents' divorce. I explained how her behavior was disrupting the work and shared the specific complaints from employees who felt uncomfortable. Additionally, I informed them about what a friend who still works at her previous company told me, that she was fired for orchestrating gossip and creating conflict among coworkers. My parents are now very angry with her for sharing our family's private matters and for causing turmoil in my company. They also apologized to me for not recognizing the severity of her actions sooner and for any additional stress. This has caused our family, having their support, has been a huge relief and reinforces that I made the right decision to prioritize my business and team. Thank you all for your continued support and understanding during this difficult time. Comments: Zealous Idler Low 2146. At first, I thought everyone sucked here, but after reading the updates in Ta, you said she shared about both your parents' divorce and then the mother's substance abuse. You guys share parents. Your trauma with your parents is also hers, so saying she can't talk about it at work is valid because it does make your employees think about you differently, but she does have the right to share that stuff as much as you do, because again, it's also hers and yours shared trauma with both of your parents. Then I saw the updates and knowing she has a history of doing this kind of stuff is not okay. You did right by firing her because she could have potentially turned your employees against you. Sonta for firing. I'm going to turn this one over to you. What do you make of this situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support, and time mean the world to me. So, thank you so much for being part of this. I really appreciate your time. I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.